The air in the Grand Astoria ballroom was thick with the suffocating blend of expensive perfume and simmering tension. In the center of it all stood two men, titans of their worlds, separated by a deep chasm of cultural misunderstanding. On one side, Jonathan Harrison, CEO of Pinnacle Investments, his tailored suit as sharp as his ambition. On the other, Sheikh Khalid Al-Hamad, a man whose traditional thobe bespoke a quiet power that dwarfed the frantic energy of his American counterparts. At stake wasn't just a deal, it was a legacy. A $4.8 billion project that promised to reshape a city's skyline. For 3 days, they had been locked in grueling negotiations, the expensive hotel suite a pressure cooker of corporate posturing. But now, it was all about to collapse. The foundation of trust had crumbled, and the language barrier had become an insurmountable wall. Hook. Sheikh Al-Hamad, his patience finally worn thin by what he saw as disrespect, did something that brought the room to a screeching halt. He turned away from the sputtering CEO and began speaking. He spoke not in the flawless, Oxford-educated English he'd used all week, but in a rapid, complex stream of Arabic, a dialect he was certain no one in this room would understand. The professional translators looked at each other in a panic, their faces paling as they failed to keep up. The deal was dead. But then, from the shadows of the room, a voice cut through the silence. It was clear, confident, and it spoke in perfect, flawless Arabic. The entire room turned, a collective gasp catching in their throats. The voice belonged to the one person everyone had ignored, the woman who had been refilling their water glasses. The maid. What she said next wouldn't just silence the entire room. It would reveal a hidden brilliance that would change her life, and the perceptions of everyone present, forever. CTA. Before we reveal the secret she was hiding, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Trust us, you don't want to miss what happens next. Section 1, The Invisible Observer. Her name was Amara. To the guests of the Grand Astoria, she was nameless, faceless, a quiet presence in a crisp uniform. For 3 days, she had been a silent witness to the unraveling of this monumental deal. She served coffee as tempers flared. She cleared away pastries as voices were raised. And through it all, she listened. To them, she was invisible. This invisibility, however, was her greatest advantage. She watched Jonathan Harrison, a man who oozed a predatory confidence. He saw the Sheikh not as a partner, but as a walking wallet. His smiles were transactions, his handshakes contracts in waiting. He spoke of partnership, but his tone screamed of conquest. He and his team saw the Sheikh's cultural principles not as deeply held beliefs, but as obstacles to be managed. Amara saw the condescension in their eyes as they listened to the Sheikh speak of building a legacy, not just hitting the next quarter's earnings report. They nodded politely, but their impatient glances at their watches told the real story. Then there was Sheikh Khalid Al-Hamad. He was a man of immense wealth, yes, but also of deep tradition. Amara, who had grown up hearing stories from her own grandfather about the importance of honor, recognized the insult simmering beneath the Sheikh's calm exterior long before anyone else did. He wasn't just negotiating financial terms, he was testing their character. And they were failing, spectacularly. Amara felt a quiet empathy for the Sheikh. She knew what it was like to be misjudged. It's a psychological shortcut, isn't it? To judge people by their job, to categorize them without taking the time for genuine understanding. To these powerful men, her uniform defined her entire existence. They saw a maid, they were blind to the woman. They couldn't imagine the world of thought and ambition behind her quiet deference. The translators, for all their credentials, were no different. They could translate words, but they missed the soul. They didn't understand the cultural idioms or the subtle shifts in tone that carried more weight than the words themselves. Communication is more than just language, it's a bridge built of respect and nuance. A bridge that was now, before her very eyes, collapsing. Section 2, The Backstory of a Hidden Talent. Amara wasn't just a maid. To see her silently polishing a wine glass was to see only the cover of a rich and complex book. Born in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, she had been a star pupil. Her father, a professor of linguistics, and her mother, a historian, had filled their home with a love for knowledge. She inherited her father's gift for languages and her mother's sharp, analytical mind. By her teens, she was fluent in Amharic, English, and French. But it was Arabic that captured her soul. After a semester abroad in Cairo, she mastered not only modern Standard Arabic but also the complex Egyptian dialect. Her academic path eventually led to a scholarship at a prestigious London university, where she earned a master's degree in international finance, focusing specifically on Middle Eastern investment structures. She wrote her thesis on the very reason this deal was failing: the Western habit of prioritizing blunt legalism over the relationship building that is paramount in Arab business culture. Recruited straight out of university by a top-tier investment firm in Dubai, she spent 3 exhilarating years living her dream as a junior analyst. Then, life intervened with brutal indifference. A single phone call shattered her world. Her father had passed away from a sudden heart attack, and her mother, devastated, suffered a stroke that left her needing constant care. Amara didn't hesitate. She resigned from her high-flying job and moved to the United States to help her sister care for their mother. The financial reality was stark. Her high-level qualifications didn't translate seamlessly, and the immediate weight of her mother's medical bills forced her hand. She needed a job, any job, with a steady paycheck. So she took a position with the Grand Astoria's housekeeping staff. It was supposed to be temporary. But months turned into years. Why would a financial analyst from Dubai be working as a maid? One interviewer had asked, his voice thick with suspicion. The judgment was so palpable she eventually stopped trying. She worked double shifts, cared for her mother, and tucked her own ambitions away. But she never stopped learning, keeping her mind sharp, waiting for a day she was beginning to believe would never come. She was a scholar in a maid's uniform, a financial analyst with a dust rag in her hand, a hidden talent waiting for a single moment to be seen. Section 3, a standoff of words and wills. The breaking point arrived like a thunderclap. Mr. Harrison had been relentlessly pushing a clause related to governance in the event of a market downturn. To him, it was standard risk mitigation. To Sheikh Al-Hamad, it was a profound display of distrust. In Gulf business culture, a partner's word is his bond. He says a partnership is built on trust, not on checklists, the nervous translator stammered. Harrison scoffed, a sound that echoed in the tense silence. Trust doesn't protect a $4 billion investment. The board will never approve this without the clause. Make him understand. It's just business. That phrase, it's just business, was the spark. For the Sheikh, his business and his honor were one and the same. He stood up, and the floodgates opened. He switched to the rapid-fire, dialect-specific Arabic of his home region, a language laced with intricate financial terminology and cultural metaphors that flew completely over the translators' heads. The lead translator held up a hand. "Please, Your Excellency, could you slow down, the dialect is..." His voice trailed off. The Sheikh was now speaking of watering from the well, not just admiring the ornaments, a metaphor for valuing substance over superficiality. He spoke of how a house built on a weak foundation will inevitably fall. The translators were lost. They exchanged panicked glances, their expensive education failing them. "We can't keep up," one whispered to Harrison. "We think he's referencing regional proverbs, the nuance is lost." Harrison's face went from flushed with anger to pale with horror. He saw his career-defining achievement evaporating. All the power and money in the room were rendered useless because they simply could not understand. It was in that deafening silence that Amara knew she couldn't stay hidden any longer. Section 4, the voice in the silence. Setting a silver water pitcher down so softly it made no sound, Amara stepped from the shadows. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but she held herself with a quiet dignity. She drew a single, steadying breath. "If I may, Your Excellency," she said. The words were spoken in flawless, respectful Arabic, in the precise dialect the Sheikh had been using. Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the tension like a razor. The silence that followed was one of pure, unadulterated shock. Harrison's jaw dropped. The translators spun around, their faces a mask of disbelief and professional humiliation. The Sheikh himself stopped cold. The fire in his eyes was instantly extinguished, replaced by utter astonishment. He turned, his gaze sweeping past the suits and the panicked translators, until his eyes landed on her. "You speak the Northern Gulf dialect," he stated, his voice a low rumble of surprise. It wasn't a question, it was a test. "I do, Your Excellency," Amara replied, her tone deferential but firm. "I believe there has been a profound misunderstanding. It is not about a lack of trust, but a difference in the philosophy of risk." The Sheikh tilted his head, a flicker of genuine interest in his eyes. "Explain," he commanded, still in Arabic. Turning to face Harrison, who looked as if he'd seen a ghost, Amara switched seamlessly to perfect, unaccented English. "Mr. Harrison, His Excellency's concern isn't with the financial metrics. It's with the governance structure the clause implies. In his culture, partners navigate challenges together. This clause suggests a rigid process that removes honorable discussion. He feels it treats him not as a partner, but as a mere source of capital." Then, she turned back to the Sheikh, once again in flawless Arabic. "And to Your Excellency, I would explain that Mr. Harrison's insistence isn't a personal insult. It's a reflection of American corporate governance, designed to reassure a board that is culturally unfamiliar with the Gulf's relationship-based practices. It is their way of building a bridge of trust, however impersonal it may seem." She had done more than translate. She had built the bridge. She had illuminated the dark space between them with a clarity that had been absent for days. The room was still silent, but now for a new reason. The woman they hadn't even noticed had just become the most important person in the room. She had just saved a $4.8 billion deal from ruin. Section 5, The Unveiling. A slow smile spread across Sheikh Al-Hamad's face, a genuine expression of admiration. "You have a remarkable gift," he said in Arabic, his voice now warm. "You don't just translate words. You translate meaning." "How?" Before Amara could answer, Harrison finally found his voice. Who are you?" Amara met the Sheikh's curious gaze. "I have a master's degree in international finance from the London School of Economics, Your Excellency," she explained calmly in Arabic. "My specialization was in Middle Eastern investment structures. I also spent 3 years as an analyst at the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority." A murmur went through the Sheikh's entourage. "Under Dr. Faisal Rahman," the Sheikh asked, a look of recognition dawning on his face. "You were on the Al Mariah project team." "Yes, Your Excellency," Amara confirmed. The Sheikh let out a soft chuckle of disbelief. "Dr. Rahman spoke of a brilliant young analyst from Ethiopia. He said you had the sharpest mind for cross-cultural finance he had ever seen." The attention in the room snapped to Harrison and his team. Their faces had drained of all color. They had spent days patronizing a man of immense intellect, all while being served coffee by a woman with more relevant qualifications than their entire high-priced team combined. The irony was devastating. Harrison, flustered, tried to regain control. "But, if that's true, why are you?" He couldn't finish the sentence, gesturing toward her uniform. Amara's composure didn't falter. "My father passed away, and my mother is very ill. My family needed me, and this job gave me the flexibility to care for her. Sometimes, life puts us in roles we did not choose, Mr. Harrison. It doesn't change who we are or what we know." Her simple, dignified explanation landed with the force of a physical blow. The arrogance drained from Harrison's face, replaced by a deep, burning shame. They had judged her based on her uniform, a shallow assessment that had blinded them to the extraordinary talent standing right in front of them. It was a powerful, humbling lesson. Conclusion and moral. With a calm authority, Sheikh al-Hamad made his decision. He looked past Harrison and addressed Amara directly. MS. He paused, realizing with embarrassment that he didn't know her name. Amara, she supplied softly. Amara Tades. Ms. Tades, the Sheikh continued, you have built a foundation of understanding. This deal will proceed, but with a new condition. Harrison nodded eagerly. Anything, Your Excellency. Ms. Tades will no longer be serving coffee, the Sheikh declared. She will be hired by Pinnacle Investments at a senior consultant salary, and she will be the lead liaison on this project, reporting directly to me and to your board. Her insight is more valuable than any clause in this contract. This is non-negotiable. Amara stared, her mind reeling. From overlooked maid to lead consultant on a multi-billion-dollar project. Humbled, Harrison could only agree. Of course, Your Excellency. We would be honored to have you. The Sheikh stepped toward Amara and spoke softly in Arabic, for her alone. In my culture, we say, true wealth is not in the vault, but in the heart and mind. You have proven that today. He presented her with his personal card. My office will be in touch. From now on, you will work on building a legacy. The story of that day became a legend. A powerful reminder that talent and worth are not defined by a job title or a uniform. Prejudice and assumption are thieves that rob us of the opportunity to see the brilliance that exists all around us. Amara was finally seen, not for the role she had been forced into, but for the extraordinary person she had always been. Her story proves a simple, powerful truth: never judge a book by its cover. Everyone carries a history and a depth that cannot be guessed at a glance. True wisdom is having the humility to look deeper, listen closer, and offer everyone the respect they deserve. CTA. What did you think of Amara's incredible story? If it made you think, please share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more powerful stories that prove courage and hidden talents can change the world. Leave a comment below telling us about a time you misjudged someone, or were misjudged yourself. We'd love to hear from you.